Találkozni. Uzsák Éva itt lesz ma este 6-kor, ugyanezen a színpadon az Aon Hewitt legjobb munkahely felmérés díjátadó gálájának lesz Éva a háziasszonya. Itt derülnek ki ugye ma este, hogyha tudtok velünk maradni 6 és 8 között, az idei év legjobb munkahelyei, illetve ennek a versenynek, felmérésnek a díjazottjai. És érdemes itt maradni, biztatnálak benneteket arra, hogy maradjatok nem csak a díjazottak miatt, a gála miatt, hanem azért, mert itt lesz például Merc Tamás, a Férfi Vízilabda Szövetség szövetségi kapitány, aki arról fog beszélni, hogy az ő szakmájában hogyan lehet valaki egyszerre jó vezető és jó HR-es, és hasonlóképp egy nagyon más szakmából, a filmes világból, itt lesz Herendi Gábor, a Kincsem és a Valami Amerika rendezője. Gábor is arról fog beszélni, hogy például hogyan lehet teljesítményt menedzselni a filmes világban. Én a magam részéről nagyon szoktam igyekezni Gábornak segíteni, például a Nagy Ervinnek gyakran adok teljesítményértékelést és pozitív visszajelzést, amikor lehetőségem nyílik, hogy találkozzak vele. A következő előadónk Hari Abburi, a Preparations vállalat globális HR vezetője és tanácsadó partnere. Azt állítja, hogy a mérnökök tudnak táncolni. Egyrészt hiszem, ha látom, másrészt lehet, hogy ez egy jó munkavállalói élmény, harmadrészt azt hiszem, hogy teljesen másról fog beszélni, mint amin most én gondolkozom, és amiről én beszélek. Az indiai származású szakember, aki éppen ebben a pillanatban most reggel Svájcból érkezett, pár nap múlva az Egyesült Államokba költözik dolgozni, és a két állomás között szerencsénk van, és eljött ide hozzánk a HR Festre, és a Design Thinking módszertanáról fog mesélni elsősorban. Fogadjátok szeretettel Hari Abburi.
My name is Hari. I got introduced just now. So I hope all of you are awake and you had your cup of coffee this morning, because the way I structured the presentation is to ask you questions, because that is the best way to make my job easier on the stage, right? But let me tell you why HR Fest is very special. This morning when I came at 8 o'clock to meet rest of the speakers, I was served a glass of champagne. So I'm very active, right? So I hope you can keep up with my energy. So good to go? Right. So this is a story of a company that I used to work for till recently as their global head of talent and OD. And this was a highly specialized, very niche engineering company, global, 6,000 employees, 45 countries. Because when you are in an engineering company so specialized, you tend to be very complicated as well. So it's one of the most complex personal, cultural learning challenges I had to go through as much as the company. So the HR function was over-engineered, very fragmented, very decentralized, the usual story that you hear of a high-growth company. So the challenge was, how can we actually make this company cohesive? How can we make it into one organization from different groups of people spread across the world, right? So that was the challenge we had. And this is my story. Obviously, there could be different versions of it depending on who you ask. And so this was a story of me and my team leading this change. When you face complex cultures, you got to think differently, right? So if you all end up thinking like an engineer, you will create the same problem or more of it. So one of the key principles of change management is not to understand the culture that you're changing. If you understand the culture you want to change, you're part of the problem. So it's a very delicate balance between saying, yeah, we got a lot of things right, but also saying we don't have a lot of things actually working for us. So if you are leading a change process, my advice to you is please do not be part of that culture. You have to be completely outside of it, even though people don't like you, right? So you need to have this kind of thinking. By the way, I like the gentleman, nothing personal against him. So it's just it's from the Tonight Show, the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show. So question number 1, ready? I'll quickly lay out the options and please put your hand up and tell me which one do you think. What will be your first step be? So you have inherited a very complex culture. You have a very fragmented HR function. We had 16 performance management systems. We had multiple competency models. If you have a definition of complexity, we would fit it in any shape and form, right? So what would your first step be? Will you set up a team plan with the executive board? Will you establish principles of change? Or will you get all the HR people together and do a workshop? Because we like doing workshops in HR, right? So what would you do? So quickly, so who says set up a plan with the board? Hands up, please. I see only 2 hands, okay? Establish principles of change. How many people? Hands up. Quickly, quickly, we don't have time. Okay. How many say, let's do a workshop in aquarium, underground club, serve champagne at 8 a.m. in the morning? Right? Serve champagne, yeah, of course. Okay, so here is what we did. We established certain principles, right? They're very simple in a way. Be simple in whatever you do. Be transparent in what you do in the company. Be available to people. Make resources available to people, not HR dependent, right? Be direct. It doesn't matter who you're communicating to. Be direct to the person. Don't have middlemen, don't have middle layers in it. And the last one is be real time. If you have done an event in a company, if you have done a decision in the company, you have to explain to the employees now, not day after, not day after, not definitely after 1 year, right? So if these are the principles, the immediate question that I have is, how will employees experience this? You may say, Hari, this is great. We like the principles. But when an employee sees the principles, how will that experience be? So my second question to the audience, I told you I'm going to ask you questions. How will employees experience these principles, right? Train all HR people. Again, we love workshops. Don't forget that. So get all training HR people together, train them and say, now you go train the trainer, now you go train the manager, you go do everything, right? One option. Of course, it has champagne, right? So do a manager training. So get all the managers together, train the managers, say, hey, dear manager, from today, you're different. Yesterday, you looked like a bear. Today, you look like a tiger. Go change the company, right? We can do manager training. The other option is make everything available. Just put it out there and leave it for employees to figure it out. So how many say first option, champagne and training for HR people? Even that one lady who put her hand up is no longer. Come on, be a sport. Do manager training. How many of you want to train the managers? 1. No champagne for them, okay? Make everything available to employees. Let them decide. All right. Now, let me explain one rule of being in HR. You're not allowed to be quiet without an opinion. If you do not have an opinion as a HR person, you're not going to change the company, okay? So please, I want to see more hands up next time. Here's what we did. Very simple, very visual. When you operate in 45 countries, language becomes an issue. We used to spend enormous amounts of money on translations of every content, till we came up with a simple, icon-based, mouse-over, language-driven menu. Transparency. This is our engagement globe. We partnered with Aon. I don't know if Laszlo is here. Yeah, there, Laszlo, my ex-colleague from Aon. There's Fanny as well, who's part of the HR Fest. One of the reasons I'm here is because of her as well. So shout out to both of you and being a great partner. Thank you, Laszlo. So this is the engagement globe. So any employee, any of the 7,000 employees can turn the globe. If I'm a workman in China, I can see the score of our office or of a manufacturing plant or the sales team in Prague, in Paris, in Chicago, in Waterloo, in Canada, anywhere in the world, including action plans. Transparency, right? So there is no need to do hundreds of communications. It's fairly self-explanatory. The philosophy we had was 5 minutes a day keeps the doctor away, right? My interpretation of that is 5 minutes a day keeps HR away, right? So if you don't want to meet me, spend 5 minutes on the website or some information because we are making everything available to you. Success of change is going to be based on how less dependent people are on the HR function, right? You got to be invisible, but you have to be present everywhere. So next question. So you say, Hari, this is great. We really like what you're saying. I know you had champagne, you're very active, asking questions, all of that is good. But how will leaders in a company change, right? So one option for you, forget HR, leave it to the leaders, let them do whatever they want. No champagne either, right? Assess all leaders. Let's bring in a big consulting company, we love this too, let's assess everybody. And we'll tell them, okay, now you fit and you don't fit, and you have to change and develop and all of that, right? Let's hope that the top management changes and change drives itself down from top. Very quickly, how much, what's your option? So take HR out of the equation of change. Let managers figure it out. How many say yes to it? Lady. Right. No, thank you. I'm just... Top down from the executive board. How many say, let the top 6 gods figure it out and let it come down? All right, remember what I said. You got to have an opinion on this question. I know who is not raising their hands. I have very sharp eyesight. Okay. Let's assess all leaders. Let's put through them through an assessment process. It doesn't matter what tool, how the methodology is. So they get some feedback on how they should change and what they should be doing. How many of you say we should do that? Of course, this is a HR audience. The majority would say that. Okay. So here is what we did. We left it to the managers to figure out. And we took HR out of the equation. So sorry to disappoint you folks, right? So I'll give you quick examples. In the past, when we did 360 feedback for the top 400 leaders in the company, HR people would get a copy. We removed that. So the manager or the leader would get his or her 360 report, and his or her boss would get it. And so what happens to HR then? We said, if you want help, please come, we are here. You know where to find us. Because it's very important for leaders to take ownership. You cannot drive ownership by being involved in every single thing in the company, right? Because they also run the company very well. So we made a predictable process calendar. So when will succession planning happen? The calendar would tell you. When would performance management reviews happen? When would 360 happen? Everything was a very simple calendar, engineering language, right? But by the way, it applies to every single company. We didn't want managers trying to figure out what we would do next in the company. When you run a global company, 400, 500 top leaders, we want predictability of the HR function. The last example I can give you is, this is a section called I want to on the website. I want to set goals with my team. There would be 5 steps under that. I want to give feedback. There would be 5 steps. We took the processes, policies of the company and made it consumer-centric, right? So we looked at it from a point of view of people who use that information. So I want to use something is the conversation that people typically come to you for. And our entire website was designed based on those behaviors, right? Last question. How to partner with the management board? Remember, it's good to talk about a lot of change, but you really can't change a company culture unless you deal with the management board. And they drive change in a company, whether you like it or not. And that is the right thing to do. So how will you partner? You will tell them what to do. Dear CEO, management board, your 360 reports are terrible, right? So we want to cut 50% of your bonus and no champagne this year, right? That's one option. Build real-time bridges. So there is strategy and there is execution in the field. Find a way to connect the dots in a transparent, simple manner. Third option is go back and hire a top consulting firm and ask them to tell you what to do, right? So let's start. Let the management tell you what to do. How many say yes to this? Oh, okay. Build bridges between strategy and execution in a transparent, simple, effective way. Okay, this audience is getting better with time. It's getting better with time. Hire a top consulting company to help you fix this gap. All right, so here is what we did. Transparency. This is a screenshot of the actual website from a few years ago. Obviously, I've not been with the company since early 2016. The example I want to give you of building a bridge is every year, the management board would do a one-day workshop on crystallizing the annual operating plan for the next year or a budget. We would film that, edit that into 5-minute clips, and pretty much showcase it. This is a real workshop. This is not dummy. So there were camera crews allowed in. We would edit very little of it, put it back. So every employee in the company in any part of the world can see what the management board discussions were. They will understand the strategy better and the direction of the company better. But that's not all. The 6-member board goal sheets were published online transparently. Any employee in the world could read the CEO's goal sheet. I would edit out probably 5% around M&A or confidential projects, but that was, I can assure you, was 5%. Every other goal sheet was there. In the following years, they also had individual videos as well. So the SBU CEO would stand up and say, in my strategic business unit, these are the 5 priorities for the year. The chief HR officer would, in the video, say, these are the 5 things we want to do with people. Extreme transparency, no middle layers, point A of origin, leadership and strategy, point B, point of execution, which is all a workforce, a direct dot connect, right? And then you see the entire change in the organization. So if this was a question, what is more important than people in a company? Do you know? What is more important than people in a company? Purpose. In our engagement surveys that we did, in 2012, the statement, I have a good understanding of business goal strategy, was 48%, 47, went up to 62. Purpose is the biggest asset of a company. It's not people. There are a lot of companies with people, but without a good sense of purpose. They die every 20 years, right? So the primary purpose of HR organization is to ensure that the purpose is well understood in the company and people understand how to use that purpose. This is what happened to our global engagement. We were at 48 when we started. In 3 years, we landed up at 64 globally, right? People respond to those principles of transparency, simplicity, being direct, real time, right? And being straightforward. Now, I had 2 criticisms. I have 30 seconds. Somebody said, you're too operating discipline oriented. Yes, because if you don't have discipline in HR, you can't change your company. Second is it too fast? Is it right time? There's never a wrong time to do the right thing when it comes to change process, right? It could not have been possible without a fantastic team. This entire presentation of 15 minutes is a tribute to these people on the screen and 1 or 2 people who are not in the picture. As HR people, you have to spend 80% of your time designing the right approach to employees. If you get the design right, your experiences will be brilliant, right? And if you can dance, this is a picture of our leadership development programs, you can change the company. So engineers did dance and we did change the company. Thank you very much.